What's up, guys? This is Jaguar YGO here with Ghost Events and Gaming, and I am here with.
Ben Smallen.
And what did you do today, Ben?
I got top 4 at a Starlight Zeus tournament with Drytron.
Drytron.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing. Were you the only Drytron player, like in top 8, top 4?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't even know there's another Drytron in the whole event. I'm not even gonna lie. So,
So you're the Drytron god.
yeah, apparently.
Alrighty, well, we'll go ahead and jump into your deck profile. We'll start with your main deck if you don't mind.
Cool. Yeah, we'll start with the Drytron names. 3 Alpha, 3 Zeta. These are pretty self-explanatory. These cards are just broken. You draw both of these, it's like, it's insane. And then for the other ones, we just played 2 Gamma and then 2 Delta. I think this has just become pretty standard at this point. Me and Logan JYA, which by the way, check out his YouTube. He does a ton of Drytron content. Me and him have talked a lot about the deck, and we just kind of determined like these are like the correct ratios for the monsters you want to play, especially if you don't play Prosperity. Maybe cut this down to only play Prosperity because of draw conflicts. But I've kind of learned this Prosperity just is not amazing, especially going second in the cash matchup. It doesn't do a lot for you. So in theory, with the amount of names we play, you have like a 90% chance to see 2 names. So there's really no reason to clog on more names. I haven't considered playing the beta, the one that adds back to banish, because there are a lot of lines you can do to use beta to play through a Rise Heart and then bait the Rise Heart effect to attach, and then you can play through with like tactics or thrust or whatever else. So there are a few lines of that. So I've considered that before, but for now I'm not sure if I'm going to play it just because it's just a vanilla name most of the time in most matchups. So
Gotcha.
So yeah, the standard 10 names. And for the ritual monsters, 3 Ben 10. I don't know why this is 3. This card's insane. Like, it is a little bit like 3 times. It's like infinite plus. It's so crazy, especially with like Natasha. Like, this card is just. This card like does way too many things. Like wins in time, steals all their monsters. Like this card is goated. It's actually insane. And then for the other ritual names, we play 1 Black Chaos Max and 1 Draconids. So. We don't always go for this line. Typically, you only go for this line if you have a 1-name hand. So if you draw, like, I don't know, that's like the easiest one's probably like Zeta and Ben 10. You can go for this line and protect it with like Lancia and Herald. But typically we go for like the Vanity's Roar line, which you'll see later. But this is always a good fallback plan. I did resolve this like 2 or 3 times today, and it was just insane. It's literally as a thought in a ritual monster, so like, why would you not play it?
Yeah.
This didn't come up today as much. This does come up in like really niche areas. I actually really like it in like the Labyrinth matchup, because if there are like against Labyrinth, there was a game I went game 1 and I ended it was like Herald, move beta with material, and then this. So it's like double spell and trap negate, and then 2 sends off of this. So that was pretty insane. This is to be determined though. I don't really know how to feel with this card yet. And then for the rest of the fairy monsters, we play 1 Diviner, 1 Vanities, 1 Lancia, and 1 Orange Light. Orange Light's typically you discard off the Herald of Mirage Light's the link 2. Otherwise, it lets you like play around Nib. Typically, you shouldn't have to play in the Nib, because usually you just make this on your 5th summon, so it's usually not a problem. But if you have to go for the Black Chaos line, there are hands you can use this to play around Nib.
Okay.
Again, we primarily go for this normal summon, but if we do the Black Chaos line, you usually go do this. More often than not, and most times, you just use this going second to either extend to grab a ritual monster or ritual spell, or you just end this to pop back row.
Gotcha.
This card's like just super utility. It just does so much in this deck. It's crazy. And this card, I would say, was like MVP of the deck the whole entire day. I don't side extra copies, but I really want to. This card just simplifies the game state against Cash, where if they draw 2 outs to your Vanity's Ruler, you're just able to drop this, and their board is just so simplified and non-threatening. With when you have 3 names already engraved with like Benton on the crackback, like we just don't care whatever they do on their turn after they break Vanity's Ruler. So, and then you also like, this also has a lot of application kits to other decks, because a lot of like Despia builds are playing like a lure, so you can cut them off the lure line. There's no Albion line at that point either. No Prosperity for literally all the meta decks. So,
Do you only play it at 1, or do you just have a way to search it or something?
yeah. So you tribute Benton, and then Benton can just search for any Light Fairy. So the standard combo is you're able to search for this and this in your hand by tributing Benton.
That's broken.
Yeah, it's super nice. So yeah, that's it for the monsters, and then for the spells, just more names. 3 emergency. We do 2 Nova and 2 Fafnir. So the logic behind this is like, obviously this is a way more like broken card than this, but this actually has like a lot of applicability because this has like a hidden effect people don't read. Where if you have this on field and you keep a Drytron card on field, if they normal or special monster, you can use this effect to have your Drytron lose 1,000 attack, and then their monster loses a level. Or I'm sorry, they don't lose attack. they lose level for every 1,000 attack the monster has. So if you have a Drytron card on field and you just leave it there, it gets like cash to summon a monster. You can use this effect and it'll reduce down to level 5, which is like super niche, but it's actually kind of insane. Or even sometimes against Sprite will come too. Very rarely, just because you don't see Sprite that much often now. But like, that's why we do 2 and 2 of this instead of like 3 and 1, like a lot of us have done before. So
that makes sense.
And then yeah, we play Foolish because it's just another name. I sent Natasha with this like one time. That was like kind of cool, but yeah, usually just used to have another name. And then you play 2 ritual spells. Kashtira has maybe have mismatching rarity, which is actually like infuriating. But yeah, you have to play 2 of this. There are actually like a lot of cool lines you can do with 2 ritual spells, but it's just this card is so terrible to draw. But you just have to play 2 because if Kashtira goes first and they banish one of them, like your gameplay just becomes like way worse. So. And then 3 prep. I've seen builds play like 1 of this, and I just like don't understand. This card is actually just broken. Like recurring the ritual spell again for another time, getting another Benton in hand. Like this allows you to play around hand traps so easily, but just getting an extra fairy in hand and then searching for the orange light earlier in combo. Like, and this card not being once per turn is just stupid. Sometimes like post side, I'll side out like 1 because I do play thrust. So this card's being searchable off thrust is really nice in grindy games. And then yeah, for the going second cards, we play 3 clips, 2 talents, another 2 talents. So this card's insane when it resolves. Of course, if they ash it or lance it, like that sucks. But like, yeah, if this card like resolves, it's just insane. And I also really like this as a defensive card because like going first, like there was one game I played today where I got shifted against Cash, and I was able to open like a 3-name hand and played through and triggered the Bentons, and I was still able to end on like Herald, a name, and this with Lancia in hand. So like even if they run over my Drytron names, they'll still go to grave because of the Lancia, and then like this is just a really good counter. So this actually allows you to counter play Shifter a lot of time, and it's, I think personally, like it's just the best board breaker of the format. It does a lot of things.
I agree.
And then like the crazy part about this card too, people don't realize is like you could set all their stuff, and then you can use the Natasha steal because Natasha doesn't designate if it has to steal a face up or face down monster. So you can steal all their face down stuff and then flip it face up to kill them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. 2 thrusts and 2 talents. I started testing this today. I'm gonna keep this. This is insane. Like I was siding these before because I was like, man, I just really don't like these going first. But like I was playing Lava Golem, and it's just too many times against the Cash matchup, they'll just go Rise Pass, and then the Lava Golem really does nothing for you. But these are just like very well rounded, and especially like it's like generic matchups like I played 1 Sprite today, like drawing this card is insane, or like even literally anything going second this card just does way too much. Draw 2 in this deck is just terrifying for anyone to play against because there's just so many top decks that just, you draw like 1 more name or like a Benton or whatever, like it just gets terrifying for your opponent. So yeah, 40 in the main deck, pretty clean and straightforward.
No traps?
No traps, no.
Okay.
I actually put those with the Magic-y combo, which I won't go into too much detail about because it's pretty straightforward. Really, there's just a Magic-y ritual that just searches for a counter trap. And the reason you play the counter trap is to get any spell or traps, you use it to negate Droplet or Dark Ruler, but like, I think those cards just like aren't real in this format. So like, why would I play around Droplet or Dark Ruler if people aren't playing them?
Yeah.
So it's like, and they're also just like bricks. That's like, I don't want to play more bricks. Whereas like the Heralding too, like already does that like well. And if we have enough gas to end on like the Magic-y with the Herald, like I think you could just still end on Draconis with the Moon Beta and the Herald. So you still have 2 Spell and Trap negate. So it doesn't really come up that much. I have thought about playing in the side because like it does play around those cards, but it's also just really nice to end on against like deck like Labyrinth. Because just another Spell and Trap negate, and then like with the Vanities, you lock them out of getting any of the welcomes off. So that's a little bit of applicability, but like that. And then the only other card I considered main was Kurikara. I kind of want to test that card because it seems like it has a lot of applicability against Kashtira, and then people don't realize this, but like it's also level 1 fairy. So you can overlay it with any Drytron name, make move beta, or if you go first and just have in hand, it's just a free fairy to pitch off an orange light or the Herald Link too. So has a lot of cool purposes. If only it was light, that'd be insane because when you search off Benton, that would be broken. So the extra deck, Anima. This card was way better than it probably should have been today. There's like way too many people playing this column, and it was actually just hilarious. Like, what? I stole a Heavenly Prison with this and baited out a Mary Jade with this, and those were both like super insane interactions. And then Link 2's Herald is like the best card in extra deck. Just like everything runs through this card on your end board. This card just, the negate is really broken, but like also just adding back a Benton and ritual spell, they attack over it. We're like, I'm cool with that. They have another card to break board because like now, like I said earlier, you're still under Lancia, but now you have 3 names and a Benton and a ritual spell back in hand. Like, We just literally break whatever you put up at that point. Like there's just nothing that threatens us, I feel like. And then IP, it's like this card's like okay, and then the Dynamondo. This card comes up in like niche situations. It is nice to like use this to link climb when the Natasha to be able to get like a Boral Sword or whatever else. And then like Dynamondo's Dynamondo, you use it for the Chaos Max lock. I thought about playing a second copy of this, but like very rarely are you looping this like multiple times against cash. I feel like if you are, you're probably misplaying at some point because I feel like you should be cooking by turn 3 after you resolve this one time. So
Yeah.
and realistically, I've heard people like have the argument like, well, what if they rip one? I'm like, if they rip one, like I don't care because I'm not making Chaos Max going second, so like that doesn't really make any sense to me. But otherwise, the card does like way too many things. The card's actually really insane. And then Unicorn for the IP. It's cute to have against like Labyrinth if you end on IP that way. And then Boral Sword. So a lot of people don't realize that this list is like I tested access code in this before, and it's just terrible. There's like no reason for it because the thing with Boral Sword, it gets you the lethal way easier. But the biggest reason people play access code is like you want to be able to clear cards off their board, right? But the thing is, Natasha's already accomplishing that for you. So like, why would I play a card that only hits a certain amount of like towers type cards, where like this gets over like every towers type card? Like I used this to go for like a psychic end punish earlier today, and that was insane. And this is like just super easy to get the lethal with like anything in your deck. Timu betas. I might build this with 3. I don't know. Like I typically find that sometimes we'll rip one of these, and I don't have one to play with. That seems kind of awkward, but it's been fine. I haven't had a problem where I can miss the Mu beta at all, so I might just keep it at 2 for now. But yeah, it's Mu beta. Lyraless Kid Downard, and then double Zeus. So I put this in last minute, and the logic behind it is, if I get Avermaxed, I can use this to attack over directly and then go into 4-mana Zeus. And then also, like, this is actually kind of cool against, like, Labyrinth, because they can't, like, punishment this or anything, so it's, like, a very annoying card for them to deal with. And then if you just slap the Zeus on it immediately, like, then you immediately have an answer to the board, so.
Question, how often did that second Zeus come up?
Never. Yeah, it's just really just there. It's just like the first one gets ripped, you still have the second one to play against cash. So yeah, and like this deck, like even though it's a ritual deck, this deck is like actually just like a Zeus turbo deck. You just get William Mubeta and then yeah, it's just free in this deck. It's crazy. What was it like? It was like 3 times today. I got deburied. They called it ritual, and so I just went for the Mubeta and made format Zeus, and like that's just so hard for them to deal with because at that point they're usually deburying because like a last resort type of thing. But like yeah, the format Zeus is just really crazy. This format, and then Beatrice because you need it for like the Chaos Max line, and sometimes it comes up like. It was actually crazy. I'll show it in the side deck later, but like there was actually a game where I had Diviner and sent to make it level 6, and then Natasha stole back the Contact C and then made Beatrice. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
That's gas.
And then yeah, both your Diviner targets. Yeah. And then the side deck. 3 Contact C. I actually only resolved this once today. I didn't see it otherwise, but the one time I resolved it, it was broken because it kept them off Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. And that's all we really care about against Branded, because you don't Gimmick Puppet Nightmare me. This deck usually just draws enough gas. Like we can play through like Mirror Jade, Branded Red, all of those cards. Like I had a matchup where like literally I used this and drew like 3 names plus talents, and I'm just like, nothing on your board is threatening me. This card's crazy. Yeah, so it's cool. I didn't get to use it against Cash today, but in theory, like, if you know when to properly use this against Cash, it can actually be like really high impact. Okay. Typically, I find again I haven't tested this enough yet. Typically, I find a way for them to make the Shangri-Era and then you drop this. Because like now they've already committed all their search effects and stuff, and they have to link off that Shangri-Era for Donner. So like, there's just no way they zone lock you for all the zones. And now their like board is just really bad or awkward or just weird in general. Like, you put them on, they have to have a lot of different cards. 3 Ash because stopping Brain Fusion I hear is pretty cool. Same with Welcome Labyrinth. So those are pretty good cards. Yeah, this is like super generic. It's just nice. It's Ash. Okay, this is the real spice. So I decided 1 Herald Profession. So the logic behind this is, if I play Labyrinth, my end board is actually just garbage. Chaos Max like just does nothing because it's at 5. And then Advantage board, like, it's good in theory, but like it's out with punishment or whatever else, and then you do your Labyrinth and then you're fine. If I summon this, it only came like once today, but in theory, if you summon this with like IP, you can have this with like 2 or 3 negates and then the IP as well. So like IP can also spin to make either Unicorn or Dynamondo. So it's like you have a way to knock out like 3 or 4 backgrounds. So it's pretty cool. I need to test it more. I really put it in last minute today, but the one time it came up was actually pretty insane. So some thrust targets. I actually don't think. No, this came up one time today. I used this one time against Cashier today. This I didn't come today, but this has actually been insane testing. Just stealing their rise hardness gas or literally like anything, to be honest. Like it's just link climbing for free cards. Like our deck does that really well as Natasha, so like this just fits in perfectly. And then Feather Duster is Feather Duster. And more back row removal, 3 evenly. This card here is pretty good. When you don't play Omni Negates, it's kind of just free. Just banish everything.
Everyone kind of has to play it.
I really want to play Denko Seka in here somewhere. I don't. I need to find the room. But the crazy part about Denko Seka is like a lot of decks, if they like shotgun like Ghost or anything, and you summon Denko, you just don't care because Denko's a light monster. So we don't play all light. So you just play for the deck. So literally, you have to shotgun skill drain or you just lose. And we just don't care about normal summon in a second. So Denko is just crazy. And I just need one turn. You give me one turn with Denko, like. There's just no way they're living. They're just dead. And then 2 DBR because we play Thrust. So in theory, you play 4 copies. So
Makes sense.
yeah. So it's like this is like our fallback if we get in theory if we get like shifted or drolled and we have Thrust, we can just set this and then hopefully like skip their turn. Hopefully, it doesn't always work out like that, but yeah, just good insurance. So
That's awesome. Well, do you have any shout outs before we close out the deck profile?
yeah, shout out to everyone I test with. There's like a million people, so I'm not gonna name every single name. The only like specific name I would give, I mentioned earlier in the video again. Check out his YouTube, Logan JYA. His Drytron content is insane. We've had a lot of back and forth conversation about this deck. I think this deck is just like extremely underrepresented, and it's very far from solved. I think if you can find the correct ratios and the correct cards to counter for going second against Cash, all your other matchups are actually like pretty nice. Like, I think this deck can like just run through Labyrinth board a lot of the time. And especially gets like branded, as long as you don't get Gimmick Puppet locked. Like nothing else they do on the end board is like super threatening as long as you draw like a half decent hand. So, yeah, there's just no Bestials, so this deck just feels amazing. There's no Bestials, there's no Shufflers, so like yeah, a lot of the stuff you do in this deck, it feels like very undeserved, if that's like the correct word to use. But it just yeah, it feels like you just get a lot of free wins because you just open like 2 names, and if you play through 1 Ash, it feels pretty good. Because like a lot of like the good board breakers like Lava Golems, Turbo, those cards just do nothing to you. So it's pretty insane. Yeah, otherwise just yeah. Just shout out to all the people to test with, really. That's the biggest one. So, and shout out to my family. Shout out to my family because my family has to listen to me talk about Yu-Gi-Oh like all the time. It's actually crazy, but they're happy that I'm happy, so that's all that really matters. So,
Fair enough.
yeah. So,
All right. Well, congrats on your top 4 today. And if you guys want any more combo videos or anything from Ben on Drytron, just make sure you guys like and comment, and we'll make that video happen. Besides that, thank you, Ben, again, and we'll catch you guys later.
see you guys.